Hi, it's Dr. Darren Schmidt at the Nutritional Healing Center of Ann Arbor. And the point of this video is to help you understand that your nutritional deficiencies that you have going on in your body are complex. And I'll introduce the term fractal to you. And I want to show you that when you try to replenish your nutritional deficiency, you want to use whole food complexes. So let me just start off by showing you that in my backyard I got a tulip tree. And so I pulled up these leaves, pulled them off the tree, and each leaf is identifiable as a tulip tree leaf. But some are bigger, some are smaller, and they have these big, thick lobes, and they got veins that you can see, but they don't match up. They're not the same. They're similar, but they're not identical. And it's the same with this. I got this maple tree. You can see that that's a maple leaf. But some are bigger, some are smaller, and they got points, but they're not the same. So this is a factor in nature that exists, and it's on the subject of fractals. This is a book I have on fractals right here. It's patterns in nature, let me give you the definition right here. Never-ending pattern. This is 1975. So it's pretty new, and it comes from the French and then from Latin fractus, meaning interrupted, irregular, broken, and it even goes back earlier than that. But so the guy that coined the term, his name is Mandelbrot. Here's a quote from him. It says, "Many important spatial patterns of nature are either irregular or fragmented to such an extreme degree that classical geometry is hardly of any help in describing their form. I hope to show that it is possible in many cases to remedy this absence of geometric representation by using a family of shapes I propose to call fractals." Okay, your nutritional deficiency in your body is composed of fractals. Okay, so in order to replenish the nutritional deficiency, you need a vitamin complex. Let me explain what this means. So a vitamin complex first of all, it's a big vitamin, and there's many components to it, and some of those components include other vitamins. Some include enzymes. Okay, but there's these factors, and most factors do not affect the body. And this was known back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s and forgotten. But they do assist the main components or bulkiest part of the vitamin. So let's say you have a big vitamin complex with 50 parts and only 2 affect the body. That does not mean to throw away the other 48. Those other 48 have to stay there in order to help the first 2 as they affect the body. Now this is the biggest mistake in all of healthcare between before World War II and after World War II, when we were more into the natural medicine. After World War II, we became more synthetic and big pharmaceutically based. Is that in pharmacy, they get rid of the other 48 components, and or 49 components. So vitamins contain hormone precursors. They contain enzymes. They contain other vitamins. Vitamins contain other vitamins, and then enzymes are functional mechanisms and are made of vitamin combinations. So the point here is that we have functional mechanisms. These things, whether you call them an enzyme, a vitamin, or whatever, they do stuff. It's a mechanism that does things. It's working. It actually acts on things. Okay, now let me give you an example here about a synthetic nutrient, thiamine, vitamin B1. Thiamine causes sterility, but it doesn't occur in the person you're giving it to. It occurs 2 and 3 generations later, and that's when you're taking too much thiamine, like 3 or 4 times the amount that the RDA recommends. Okay, so that's just an example of a chemical causing damage. Whereas if you take the whole vitamin B complex, you get no damage and you get actually repair. And I have a cousin that I did this with. His heart was flipping. He had some chest problems, and the hospital thought he may have had some kind of a heart incident. Well, his doctor did 2 things for him. Taught him to maybe hold your breath, which I think is ridiculous, And number 2, gave him metoprolol, which is a blood pressure medication, and he kept it in his pocket every day just in case it was too harsh. And the metoprolol makes the heart weak. So I put him on thiamine, and a few months later, he was no better. And then I put him on the whole food vitamin B complex. This is 2016. This is when I was just figuring out lactic acidosis being the mechanism of chronic disease and how to reverse it. And after a few months of being on the whole vitamin B complex, specifically Cataplex B, he was much better, and it was pretty much resolved. So big difference here in actually getting results versus not, and actually being safe, and actually versus not being safe, because the thiamine is not a safe nutrient. Okay, and now think of this, when you buy your supplements or look in your cupboard at the pills that you have, and reading the labels, you want the whole food complex. Okay, here's an example. Vitamin E. I've used this before a long time ago. So vitamin E has many tocopherols. We got delta, gamma, beta, alpha. There's also 4 tocotrienols. It also has xanthine, which is a little bit of a stimulant, and which is natural. I mean, I've had people with vitamin E, real vitamin E, their energy is great. And then selenium and lipositols, which is now known as inositol, which is a B vitamin. And it's got vitamin F1, F2, E1, E2. So F1 is now, this is an old schematic dating decades ago, but now we know that F1 is known as arachidonic acid, also related to linoleic acid and linolenic acid. And so that's more modern research. And this was discovered in 1934, the F1. And then F2 was known in 1949 to reverse cancer. So it's a fat. Now we know about ketosis. Maybe this has something to do with ketosis, but we don't know. The research has been stopped. So as I mentioned these other fats, I mentioned arachidonic acid and linoleic acid, etc. I'm just saying these are very important fatty acids. They're very important for our bodies to have. Arachidonic acid is actually known as a parent fatty acid, meaning it's from arachidonic acid, other things come, other types of fatty acids. Okay, so this is a vitamin complex with hormone precursors, other vitamins, other nutrients. And here's vitamin C. I'm going to start off with these factors. These are other vitamins. P factors, J factors, K factors. So K, vitamin K, you've heard of that. Vitamin P is found in paprika and other foods, and they heal up arteries. They prevent permeability. I'm going to talk about tyrosinase now. That's an enzyme. So here we have vitamin C with an enzyme in it. Here's a picture of tyrosinase. Notice how bulky it is. Notice how there's not going to be the same tyrosinase structure from each vitamin C to the next. It's going to be a different structure. There's going to be smaller and larger components. There's going to be displacement. There's going to be some straight ones. There's going to be crooked ones, crooked components. But the point is, this vitamin C is not going to be the same as the one next to it versus the one next to it. All the vitamin C's are going to be different. Now, here we have ascorbic acid, C6H8O6. That's what you get at the store. Don't even bother. Don't bother with this. That's a chemical. It's not very smart. It's not a functional mechanism. It's just a chemical. It's a component to all of this. So if you go back to Albert St. Georgi, he's the guy that discovered ascorbic acid, and he called it vitamin C, and he said it doesn't work. It doesn't prevent scurvy. That's what that means. A means without, ascorbic means scurvy. This is supposed to cure scurvy, but it doesn't. You know what it does is this. And what is scurvy? Heart disease. Weak arteries that break, and then you get a stroke or something like that. So in order to fix heart disease, you got to have all the vitamin C, you got to have all the vitamin B, you got to have all the vitamin E, and all of these combined are what's needed to make a healthy heart. Okay, now we have rutin here. That's another big molecule, and it's going to be different when you compare one to the next. Chemically, it's going to be different. Just like the maple leaves, just like the tulip leaves. That's just how it is in nature. Okay, I'm going to give you some examples. I already talked about ascorbic acid. It's just oxygen, hydrogen, and carbons. Then we got alpha tocopherols, 29 carbons, 50 hydrogens, and 2 oxygens. It's just one component of the bigger picture of vitamin E. This is what you buy at the store. You got to get the whole for vitamin E. And I have my favorites, and if you're a patient of mine, you can buy them from me. Retinol, this is known as vitamin A. It's not vitamin A. It's a component of it. It's this many carbons, 20. It's 30 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. Same thing with niacin. It's carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. Like it's a chemical. Now, these have an effect on the body. They do have an effect on the body. But you got to have all the other components put together to have the whole food vitamin, whether it's A, B, C, D, E, F, J, K, U, T, S. All these vitamins existed. J, did I say J yet? All these vitamins were studied, and they were forgotten after World War II. So make sure you're buying. The clinical difference is huge. You got to buy the whole food vitamins, and you can get a lot of these from your foods, but if you're ill and you want to supplement the whole food vitamins, you got to get to read the labels and understand what the labels are saying, and avoid the labels that just say tocopherol or ascorbic acid. All right, I hope this information helps you. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, share, and subscribe.